Hello, welcome to Options Profits TV. I am Phil McDonald and I will be your host today. Today is the expiration Friday for the December options series. Technically they go off the board tomorrow, Saturday, but today is basically the last thing to do anything about it. And so effectively, in most traders' minds, today is the expiration. Today we're going to be talking about how to control your risk, good ways and bad ways. Okay, one of the big problems with risk control is that most people think that stops are somehow a magical risk control tool. They are not. If you use stops, you will reduce your returns. And that's been proven both mathematically in my book, Optimal Portfolio Modeling, and it's been proven empirically with over 250,000 individual stock trades using a winning system, and in every case, adding stops to the winning system reduced the return. Stops will double your probability of a loss of the given size controlled by the stop. Stops do not guarantee that your risk is controlled to its specific given level. And stocks can and do gap at the open and can move to a greater loss than your stop supposedly guaranteed. Okay, let's talk about the surprising result, at least surprising to some, about why stops double your probability. Assuming the probability of a loss of your stop size is P, then the probability of a stop being hit is exactly 2 times P, twice. The reason is that for every stock price path that hit the stop, half of them will be reflected back above the stock price, resulting in a better outcome. In other words, you could have done better half the time if you didn't have the stop. On the other hand, half will go below the stop. This reflecting thing is known as the reflection principle of statistics. You don't have to go very far in statistics to learn the reflection principle. It often is covered in the first stat course you'll ever take. Okay, so the reality is, the real world is you still have to control your risk. So if you're going to try to limit losses, you can use credit spreads. I wrote about that yesterday. See my article. Credit spreads will reduce your risk. On the other hand, you can set very wide stops. The idea behind very wide stops is simply that they have a very low probability of being hit. So let's say you had a stop at maybe the 5% level. In other words, there's only a 5% chance you're going to get to that stop level. Well, the doubling principle that we talked about, the reflection principle, says that if you do use a stop that wide, the 5% will increase to 10%. Not a good outcome, but still it's pretty low probability. The very wide stops hurt you less, and you give back less of your expected return. The other way, which I prefer, is you can use delta-based, but still wide exit points. Again, we want to keep them wide enough so that the probability is very low that the stop will ever happen, but still we don't want any one big loss to kill us. Most of my trades are winners. I reviewed over the last couple days, I reviewed my trades, and it was 13 winners out of 14. That's pretty good. And I know I'm going to have a lot of winners every month. So the key is not to let one bad trade get too bad. I prefer the delta-based exits. That's the bottom line for me. Okay, exit guidelines. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because most of my trades are winners, so most of my attention is actually focused on the occasional losers. The winners take care of themselves. I have to take care of the losers. So one guideline is to start looking for the exits at a delta of about 0.30. That doesn't mean that's a hard stop level or anything like that. I also look to exit on days when the position recently moved in my favor. So even though I'm already at about a 0.30, I might wait for a rally or a fallback, depending on whether I'm bullish or bearish in a position, and I'll get out on that. Controlling delta risk is the main way to control option risk. That's very important. Delta is your price risk. When we talk about credit spreads, which I like, and I encourage readers to take my trades and turn them into credit spreads, even if they're a naked put sale. But with a credit spread, we can allow more leniency. And the reason is that credit spreads have a built-in risk control because of the hedge option. In other words, you've got a hedge, it locks in a maximum possible loss, so there's not as much danger of a really big loss. You know, if you have a 5-point credit spread, you could lose 5 points. Could happen. But hopefully there was a sufficient margin of safety that it's very unlikely that that would happen. And the other thing to understand is that because we've got a long and a short option or a net credit, that the deltas of the two options cancel each other, at least partially, and so that allows us to allow more leniency. So when you get the opportunity, and assuming you understand credit spreads, I strongly encourage them. Thank you very much. This is Phil McDonald for Options TV.